Do you wake up tired all the time? I know I used to. Do you have trouble falling asleep? Do you wake up in the middle of the night? When you do get up in the morning, do you crash in the afternoon because you only got 5 or 6 hours of sleep? Well, listen, you're not alone. I thought that I absolutely wrecked my sleep because I used to work nights all the time. There was sometimes in the winter when I would work nights, I wouldn't even see the sun because I'd go to bed before it came up and I would get up after it had gone down. And I had thought I ruined my sleep, but you know what? I was able to fix my sleep and I can fix yours too. Stick around. Okay, listen, the first thing I'm gonna talk about to fix your sleep is gonna be kind of woo-woo. And this is what I used to think of all this stuff up until 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little longer when I started to get in touch with everything that's happening within my body. And listen, I wrote down here, your thoughts are chemical, not just mental. And if you think about it, when you get in trouble or you have a conversation that you don't like to have with people, or you know, somebody is making you feel unsafe, or you're going to get into a fight, or you have an argument with somebody and your body releases these chemicals, the fight or flight things. Well, it's the same thing with recognizing and saying that you are a bad sleeper. So the first thing I want you to do is recognize as being a good sleeper. Now, this may sound crazy, but it really isn't, because if you think about it, your body follows your identity. I wrote down here because I read a book a long time ago, and it was from Napoleon Hill. And I mean, he said thoughts are things. And that is so true. And if you say that you're a bad sleeper, well, guess what? You're gonna be a bad sleeper. And I said this for years. Oh, I just don't sleep well. I only need 4 or 5 hours sleep. And I almost used to pride myself on it. The more you say these things, the worse it is. So the first thing you have to do is say, listen, I'm a good sleeper. And I started saying this. When I actually heard this, I watched this on a video. I learned this from a video myself. When I started saying this, I'm a good sleeper, my sleep actually started getting better because I lost that identity. And every cell in my body was listening, and the chemicals that were being released helped with sleep. So don't let this one go by. I know it's not a pill that you're gonna take that's gonna magically fix everything, which is what we all love to do. This is actually what's going on up in your brain. This is probably some of the most important things when it comes to losing weight, when it comes to changing your life, when it comes to all of these things. It all starts up here. So number one, recognize as a good sleeper. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is your environment. Now, this is pretty simple. I made a list here. The first thing, I mean, these are just no-brainers. And you know what? It's so funny because I didn't do any of these probably till about like 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. And then I tried doing different things and taking melatonin and meditating and all this without changing my environment and wondering why. I mean, there was a few things that worked because the thermostat controlled both ends of the shack and I really couldn't turn the temperature down, but that's kind of changed. And there's other things you can do, open a window, whatever, turn the air conditioner, get a window air conditioner. There's always a solution. I always like to think that I'm a solution-based person. Only solutions, no problems, just solutions. So we're gonna fix our environment. This is one of the easiest things you can do. The first thing you're gonna do is keep your room cool. You hear the guys that talk about sleep, drop it down to 65, or I think that's about 18 Celsius, and you know, leave it there at night because your body has to drop that degree or 2 degrees for you to fall asleep. So that's the first thing. Second thing, make it dark. You want the room to be pitch black. You open up your eyes and you can't see your hand in front of your face black. That's what I'm talking about. Black that thing out. And I mean, we used to do this at work when I'd work nights all the time. I would black out a room. I'd have tinfoil over the windows. So make it dark. You don't want any lights. You don't want lights from your cell phone plugged in or the little blue light that you see on the charger. You don't want anything. Completely pitch black. Now, you want it to be quiet, but I have a little noise thing, a little speaker, the white noise or the rain sounds. This thing has like 12 or 15 sounds. I got it off of Amazon. Some of the meditation apps have things. You can put stuff on YouTube that's a black screen, you know. I think having a little bit of constant noise, and I mean, I know when I used to work, when I was out at the rig and the rumble of the diesel engines, you know, and that, I would sleep better out there. And then when I would come home and it was completely quiet, it wouldn't be good. Now we leave the fan on, and we put fans in the kids' rooms. They still use them today. They turn the fans on. So you want to have it quiet, but you want to have a little bit of noise in there, and that muffles out anything that might be going on. I mean, any little disturbances that might happen, that's going to help with. And then the other thing, your bed, yeah, Okay, it's where the magic happens. I get that. But it should just, you shouldn't have a TV in your room. And I mean, we have a TV in our room. I'm trying to get Amanda to get it out of there, but it's not happening. She loves her shows too much. But you know, you should have sex in there and you should sleep in there, because when you get into bed, it should be a signal to your body that, hey, it's time to go to sleep. Don't be on your phone, right? We'll get into that stuff later, but your bed is for sleeping. And if you only use it for that and having sex, making the magic happen, then you're gonna fall asleep way faster. Your body's just gonna have those signals, right? So that's your environment. Now, the other thing I would add in here on this one is kill the screens early. And I mean, we all struggle with this. I still have trouble sometimes, you know, but I have an alarm on my phone now. Goes off at 8:15 when I'm at work. It's time to turn the lights down. It's time to kind of get into mode. That's to go to sleep, you know. It's maybe I'll do meditation or get a hot shower. I'll go in the sauna. You know, we have an infrared sauna at work, or if I'm home, I'll go in the steam sauna. But this alarm tells me that, hey, it's time to start winding down. And I get it. Sometimes this isn't gonna happen. Last night we were watching UFC with the boys and he had a few friends over and we were up late. I never got to bed till about 12:30, and that's gonna happen, and that's okay. That's life. But most of the time on your work days, because most of us have to work, unfortunately, we can't get money for free, you can kind of set your schedule, but you have to prioritize it, right? Kill the screens early, an hour, before, and then also eating. I try not to eat like 3 hours before bed. I always, when I check on my Whoop and look at my sleep data, the longer that, if I fast for that whole day, I have an incredible sleep, low heart rate. So just try and keep the food, you know, no heavy meals late at night either. And that's your environment. Number 2. Okay, number 3, I'm gonna talk about, now this is kind of interesting because when it comes to sleep, you wouldn't think many of the things you do during the daytime would affect you, but a lot of them do. And so number 3 is your daytime habits. And the first thing I have on here, some of you guys might have heard me talk about this. I got this from Andrew Huberman. I mean, right now, the science that is, you know, working on different things in our lives, learning about, you know, our metabolisms and our fat and our brains and all this. The science is incredible about what we're learning. And I mean, you think about it, when we used to have to rummage around for food and didn't go to the grocery store, we had to go and hunt and all these different things. I mean, you got up with the sun. So, you know, this daytime habit, number 1 on here, I have get sunlight in your eyes. That's the first thing you should do. That's what we did for thousands of years. And we didn't, you know, I did some research on, you know, what the invention of the light bulb and how that has changed us, because now we can have constant light all the time. Right before, you know, we had some candles, we had whatever, before they even had that. I mean, you woke with the sun, you went to bed with the sun. This is how our natural circadian rhythm, this is how we evolved, right? So the light isn't, it's not good. There's lights that we have on all night, especially the brightness from the computer screens and the phones and all this stuff. But get sunlight in your eyes early. And this is probably one of the biggest things I changed. I beeline for that sun. And I mean, I get up at work at 4:20, there's no sun, and I go through my, but when that sun does come out, I make sure I go out there for 10 minutes and get it in my eyes. I find it makes a huge difference. Now, this one I learned from Andrew Huberman too. It's delaying caffeine 60 to 90 minutes. Now, I don't always do this, but I really try to. I try not to have it as soon as I get up. And I mean, this is all about that adenosine clearing out of your system, right? And I mean, Andrew Huberman talks about this. He's got a few, I'm sure you could find a reel or anything if you wanted to dig right into the science, but if you don't get that adenosine, let it clear, then the caffeine fits its way into those cells where the adenosine would be at something like that, then you'll get that grogginess in the afternoon. So you want to let the caffeine clear. Now, this is the thing, I love fasted cardio. Vigorous Steve talks about this, all the good things that it does. I like to get moving. I started doing like a 30-minute walk when I get home as soon as I get up. It's harder for me to get it at work, but I'll try and implement like 15-minute walks between things I'm doing at work and try and squeeze it in there. I like moving in the morning, you know? And, you know, I wrote down here, move early and move often, right? So you want to set the tone for your day. And I mean, if you get your blood pumping, you're using your muscles. You're not just, you know, getting up, pounding some coffee to try and wake yourself up. But this is why I like to work out in the morning, because it's something that I love to do and it gets me kind of jived about getting up and going and doing it, right? Now, the other thing I'll talk about a little bit is eating on a consistent schedule. And like I just already mentioned about not eating too late, well, I find even with the release of your hormones, and if you can eat, like I'll get up in the morning and when I'm at work, say I gotta go to a safety meeting and we're doing some things, depending on what's happening, I might have to get after stuff right away. I might have a little bit of time, but I always try and get some breakfast in me because I like to eat in the morning, and instead of pushing my eating window later, I like to finish it off earlier. So, you know, your circadian rhythm, it also runs off of when you eat, right? That affects everything too, right? So if you're eating all over the place, or if you're eating a lot of heavy, greasy foods late at night, I mean, that's gonna affect the way you sleep, right? And I mean, it builds up all your cells, you know, they get regenerated, they get changed. I mean, you gotta eat good food. The foundation of all health is the nutrition, but I mean, sleep is right there with it. So eat on a consistent schedule too. And then light exposure, right? So like I just said earlier, when the sun goes down, I kind of already talked about that one, dim the lights, set an alarm. And I mean, my buddy James said to me the other day, he was laughing at me. He goes, oh, you're one of those guys that has an alarm at night to tell me when to go to bed. And I actually do now. And you know what? I feel better because of it. And instead of sleeping 4 or 5 hours, I'm like 6 or 7 now. I slept for 7 hours and 30 minutes. I haven't hit 8, maybe a few times, a few months back, I touched 8, but I'm working my way towards it and I feel like it's getting better. So that's number 3. All right, 4, I'm gonna talk about nutrition and stimulants. Now, stimulants, you gotta be really careful. Caffeine has a half-life. If you can keep it before noon, that's what I always try and do. I usually have some in the morning. I like to have some pre-workout sometimes. I'll like have half a scoop. If I take a full scoop, it sends me to the moon and I won't sleep. Because I mean, you gotta remember that caffeine, it remains in your bloodstream for like 6 or 8 hours or something. So if you have, you know, caffeine late, 5, 6, you know, even 3, then it's not gonna help you out, right? And the other thing I wanted to mention with this is supplements. Now, you know, magnesium glycinate or 3-in-A, I think they're really great, you know, 200 to 400 milligrams. I try and do that every night. My buddy Mark kind of got me onto that one. I mean, I started to hear about it, but then I actually asked him about it, and he's a good sleeper. He prioritizes the sleep and he takes that stuff, I'm pretty sure, religiously. I mean, I asked him and he takes it. So I started to, and I'll take the pills and I'll actually put them by the bed. And then I had the pill bottle by the bed, but I still wasn't taking it. And so then I'd put a glass of water. And then, you know, so you got to do these things to make it as simple as possible, because sometimes I would get into bed and then I'm like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed to take the magnesium. So if I had the glass of water there and the magnesium pills, I would just take them. And I'll take sometimes at work some melatonin. I think you have to be really careful with that one, because if you take too much, it'll make you feel groggy. I know that from personal experience. There's other supplements, apigenin, Huberman mentions that. I mean, there's GABA, there's some other stuff. And like any supplement, you need to be careful. You have to try it for yourself. All of our bodies, there's 7 billion people on the planet. We all metabolize things differently. Different supplements are gonna work for different people. The melatonin, I find, like, I think the pills that I have are like 2 milligrams or something, or maybe 1, or, you know, there's not much in it, but it's just enough to make me fall asleep quickly. I kind of try and clear all the thoughts out of my head, and then I just fall asleep faster. I don't take it usually when I'm home, because I find I can fall asleep quicker when I'm home, but at work, it just seems like I have more on my mind. And then you gotta, so here's the other one I mentioned here. I wrote this down. You gotta watch the hidden sleep wreckers. And I mean, that's alcohol, nicotine, major stimulant, too much water too late, especially as you get older, guys. I mean, 40, 50. I don't have to tell you, I was getting up 2 and 3 times a night before I kind of figured this out. And I still get up usually once a night. Some nights I'll make it through, you know, then I get up at 4 or 5 and then I'll run to the bathroom. I gotta go pretty bad by then. But yeah, I mean, alcohol just kills your REM sleep. So you might fall asleep faster, but if you look at your heart rate, and I've monitored this on the Whoop, your heart rate, instead of being like 50, mine will be like 80. So there's a lot of stuff going on in your body, you know, that you don't realize. And yeah. Okay, moving on. The next thing with sleep, I have written down here, reset your nervous system before bed. Now, I know when I was having trouble, now the melatonin helped me. I was telling you guys, fall asleep faster. But I think one of the big things too was you know, we all go through the days and, you know, a lot of us manage things like chaotically, and you're trying to deal with all the things that are the most important, right? And then there's a bunch of things that you push off to the next day or the next month that doesn't, you know, need to be dealt with in that day. But I think at the end of every day and you lay down, I mean, a lot of us were exhausted, you're tired, but your mind still races. And it's that whole fight or flight thing because, you know, when a tiger, your system was designed this way. When a tiger would come after you, but now, you know, you get all these endorphins and these dopamine, all these things released in your body, and, you know, it would drive your stress hormones up, your cortisol and all these things. And, you know, you need all that to protect yourself. But now the constant stress of having debt and all the things that are going on in the world and worrying about your kids and how they're going to be, and your wife and your mom and your dad. And I mean, you know, I feel like today our lives are maybe easier in a lot of ways, but then they're harder in more ways because the mental, right? And so when you go to lay down to sleep, sometimes it's hard to shut your brain off. And I mean, I think this is why people drink, and this is why, you know, if I've been having a terrible day, I mean, a couple of drinks, they can help, you know, make you forget about things and make you feel better, right? But I mean, you need to be very careful with all of that stuff. But there's other methods, and I mean, I've learned some of these just listening to Andrew Huberman and Peter Attia and some other guys. I mean, I've learned some stuff from Joe Rogan, and this NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. I've done that when I've woken up at night and actually fallen asleep and fallen deep into a heavy, you know, really REM restful sleep, right? So there's all these things you can try to reset your nervous system. Of course, the breathing, you know, 4 breaths in, 8 breaths out, that, you know, kind of activates your parasympathetic nervous system. And, you know, breathing through your nose, of course, we've all seen the mouth tape. There's all kinds of things. And, you know, even journaling stuff. And I've tried to do this, you know, and have never really been consistent with it, but I think all that stuff helps, and there's something with putting pen to paper, right? Clear out the mental clutter in your brain. And I mean, one thing that I always think of too now, especially with sleep, and, you know, when it's late at night and my mind is racing, and I'll just try and think, you know what, I did everything I did today, and, you know, I did the best that I could with everything that I had. Maybe I could have got a little more done, but you know what, maybe it didn't happen, and we'll wake up tomorrow. It's a new start, it's a new day. It's, you know, you can get refreshed, right? And, you know, I just feel like when I say those things, it just relaxes my mind, because you're not like in this constant state of anxiety where you're like, I could have done more, I could have did this, or I should have did that, or I should have called this person, right? And I mean, it makes it easier to fall asleep. And then, you know, sometimes I'll couple that in with a little bit of melatonin, the magnesium, dimming the lights, the whole thing, right? And I mean, you kind of want to, if you can, build a nightly routine for yourself that works for you. And you know, you'll find the more that you do that, the more that things are going to become easier for you to fall asleep, the more consistent you'll get with your routine, then maybe your eating will fall into place, and, you know, maybe you'll do the meditation and a little bit of journaling, and all the combination of all these things, you're going to find something that works. And I mean, I always like to think of myself as a scientist, even though I'm not a scientist. I didn't go to school, but, you know, to be a scientist, but I'm always trying new things and testing and tuning and, you know, seeing what works for me and what works, because we're all different. And that's the thing, we all have different things going on. What matters to me probably doesn't matter to you. I mean, we all want to sleep deep and have great sleep and wake up refreshed. Yes, I think that's a common thing within every human. But what affects all those different things in our life are very drastically different. So give all these a try, guys. All right, well, there you have it. Try all these things. Let me know in the comments which one works. Remember, guys, what I always say, every passing minute is another chance to turn it all around. It's never too late to sleep deep, sleep for 8 hours, and wake up and feel refreshed. I'll see you in the next one.